The Rogue Prince of Persia is a new game from the co-developers of Dead Cells. But after only a few months of Prince of Persia Lost Crown just came out, is this worth a look? Let's find out. Hey everybody, my name is Warwick and welcome to the channel. Hope you're doing well. Today we will be checking out the Rogue Prince of Persia. I do want to say a big thank you to Ubisoft and to Evil Empire for the review code. I really appreciate it. And what we're going to be doing today is going through the basics of the game, the mechanics, sort of the story, sort of all the little bits and bobs, and my likes and dislikes, and anything else that may be of interest. But I would want to say, if you would like to give us a like, subscribe, and comment, I would really appreciate it. It helps grow the channel. And also, if you do like this video, there's many other review videos out there that you can check down below. I'm sure you'll find a couple that you will like, including Prince of Persia Lost Crown. But like I said, we'll get stuck in. So the Rogue Prince of Persia is a new game, as I said, from Evil Empire and Ubisoft, where it basically brings Dead Cells basically in the Prince of Persia setting, and you play as the prince. But this story is not related to any other stories. There are similar aspects of it, but the story isn't connected in any other way, so you don't have to play any other games to get anything of the lore or the story. But if you know Prince of Persia stories, you will obviously get a bit more out of this. But you do play as a prince, and basically you've got these evil beings called the Huns who are attacking Persia, and the prince is taking it upon themselves to make it their job to basically save their town, save their city. And what's really cool about this is you get a bit of a blurb about the story, sort of basically saying about this is a different story, this is a different tale, and you get a bit of blurb there, and then you're straight in. You're literally straight in. There's no title screen, there's no sort of new menu or any settings. That does come later. You are literally straight into the game. You got a prince here standing, and you just like, for a second, I was like, oh, we're starting, because it sort of scrolled down. I was like, I was going to do menu. I was like, nope, it's actually in the game. So suddenly you're straight away, you're like into it. There's no tutorial or anything straight away. There's no sort of telling you things. It's literally like, here we go. Here's the game. So we are playing as a prince. And again, if you are used to Dead Cells or even Prince of Persia Lost Crown or any Metroidvania style game, you'll be very accustomed to this. So you've got your light attacks, heavy attacks, you've got secondary attacks, you've got other buttons and jumping and stuff. With this, there's more features. So there's like wall running, which is a staple of the Prince of Persia games. And you've also got like kick mechanics, but mostly if you've definitely played Dead Cells, you'll be very, very at home with the game. And so you start the game, and I was actually paused it for a second. I was like, oh, okay, it's actually just started. So I was sort of getting tested things. As you go through, the game does sort of let you know how the game works. So how to use mechanics like jumping, like going through walls, wall running, etc., etc. And then you go through enemies and learning about the battling. And as you go through that, you are learning about what's going on. So as you can see, the prince is reacting to attacks that are happening in the city and trying to get there and trying to survive and save the city. And that's basically the story. Like the story, it's not a big story. It's very much like you are the prince, you are trying to save your city and just trying to survive. That's not negative. It's very much sort of the story goes, we're not getting in the way of anything else. This is basic, but the main aspect of this, as any roguelike, is the gameplay. So with the gameplay, obviously, like I said, you've got special attacks, you've got basic attacks, you've got secondary attacks. You do have a choice of weapons. So with weapons, you start with daggers, but you can change with swords or spears, or there's all sorts. And you've got secondary, so you've got arrows or like boomerang type weapon, and you can customize how you want, how your playstyle is. Each one has strengths and weaknesses, learning about what works for you, and you will learn that through the game. Because I will say, especially if you haven't played these types of games, is you will fail a lot. These games are very much designed for a repeat and continue. So you're going through the game and you're doing all right. You learn, still sort of trying to, for me anyway, trying to sort of get the basics and understand everything, find out like new NPCs, new characters, a bit more about the world building. You know, people aren't doing great and trying to save them. And then we get to a point where I thought she died. You get to the screen and it comes up saying death, impossible. For his bowler protects him. And this is one of the mechanics of this game, is so you've got a bowler. So basically it turns back time. And so whenever you do die in the game, it will basically bring your soul back to a previous time that it chooses, which happens to be about 3 days, I think 3 or 4 days before the attack from the Huns. And we're like, what's going on here? Brought it back, and we meet one of the characters who's sort of like the base, like the main hub base. And you've got Sukra, who's apparently saved us. And this is where you can upgrade or buy items for your pendant journeys. And you sort of learn about how long you've been out. And then you sort of get back into it and you start again. So suddenly you're right at the beginning again. And what is different is, and again, if you're not used to this will be a new thing. But obviously, if you know your roguelikes, you will understand. The game is made of randomly generated levels set in various colourful biomes. So this is what the main aspects of roguelikes is. Each time you play, you will have a different experience. So again, like when we start the game, it seems very similar, but suddenly you learn, so, oh, actually, no, these are different areas and stuff. So each time you play, you learn different things, you experience different things, and each time you play, it is different. So there's pluses and minuses with that. So the plus side is you learn more each time you go, but the downside is once you die, you're back to beginning again. And there's no save points. There are like fast travel points, which is quite cool. So if you want to go to certain areas, you can fast travel if you unlock them. But for the most part, it's very much like you need to just keep surviving. And the thing is, right, the more you survive, which is great, the more enemies and more different types of enemies appear, and you get to bosses as well. And for the first time, you won't know how they work. So you're probably more likely to not fail. And then you're back to beginning again, and you're repeating that cycle again, which I feel like with Prince of Persia and roguelikes, it works really well because Prince of Persia, big aspects of the story and the lore of it is like time travel and stuff, or going back in time. And so having that mechanic of going back and reliving this again and trying again with these new skills and stuff works really well. So you've got that, and you just basically just each time you go through, you have to keep learning. So there's one bit where someone's like one of the poles, and basically you can't attack them from below because they get you straight away. So it's trying to learn how to attack them. And so you like to decide, hit them off, and then you can do attacks on them and learn them through that. And again, I learned that because of experiencing it before, failing from it and learning from it. And then you go further and further, different biomes, different environments. And then you go, oh, this is a new enemy. That's how they work. Oh, never mind, I'm gone. And then you're back to beginning again. There are elements in the game that helps you. So not just outside weapons, but also there's improved weapons. So you can gather them at random areas in the game, but also you can buy items as well, either through the hub or throughout the game. There's some NPCs you can speak to that sell certain items like healing or weapons. There's also trinkets or medallions that you can basically get, which help you, and they are random each time. So some might have like come with an extra attack or like a smog around it, so it will slowly affect or slowly hurt enemies, and you can gather them and you can choose how your play style works with that. So you might be like, okay, you found a few, you can change and see what works with you. Some of this does carry over into whenever you do die, but a lot of it does reset, so you have to be careful of that. I will say there is settings. You can go to like a menu now after you've done the initial like dying and stuff. So you've got controls and you've got your basic controls. It does recommend playing with a controller, played on PlayStation 5 controller. I will say, I wish they had this more. Other games don't seem to do this, is I wish they had the option to change the button layout. So as it shows what buttons it is on my controller, it just shows the basic like A, X and stuff. I understand the layout of my controller, so it's not an issue. So I know where A is on the PlayStation 5 controller, but would it be nice to actually have the icons? So you can controllers, either keyboard or mouse. You can keybind all of it as well, which is cool. So you can click on it and change the keybind, which is great. You've got accessibility, and there's a few options there. So you've got color blindness, rumble, screen shake, dialogue text, and item text. So you can change those items if and what is wanted. You've got video, so display mode, resolution, VSync, and FPS limit. So obviously I have those settings there. Audio, standard audio, master music, and sound effects. And then language, and you've got a few options here. It's all text-based. There's no voice over here, and there's a few options here. With all this, they did say, as it is early access, it will be adding more to it. So there will be a lot more accessibility options. There will be a lot more language options. And so there'll be a lot more there. So this is just a basic level at the time being. But yeah, that's basically the game. And I had a really, really fun time with it. It's really, really cool. It is different enough from Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Initially, looking at it as, oh, it's another 2D style Metroidvania type game. It feels going to be very similar. It has that unique style to it and unique combat style that feels familiar in Prince of Persia world. It is different enough that it does separate it from it. There's obviously Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. You do die, but you have save points, and each area is the same, so you can revisit places where here it's like you'll visit an area, you probably won't see this area again. So if you die, you'll be completely different. And also, it feels very familiar in the sense if you've played any like roguelike games, especially at Dead Cells, like you will be very, very familiar with the combat style. But extra, so like I believe there's kicking, which is new, and there's obviously wall running, which obviously is a different aspect to it. But again, it will feel familiar, but also has its unique style to it and unique way to it that it does separate you from other things. And for an early access, I think they did a really good job. Like, it felt really smooth. I did notice a bit of a load time stutter in between biomes, which I think is understandable because it is generating these levels, it's generating these worlds, so it has to generate it for you to go in. But during the actual gameplay, everything felt really smooth. It felt really cool. I've never played Dead Cells before myself, but I had a really good time. I actually want to go play Dead Cells now as well, so check that out. But I think they've done a really good job. I think Evil Empire's got a really unique style, which may feel alienating at first because obviously it seems quite new and quite different, but you go into it and the world it's created, like, it's simple enough but also in depth as well. And there's enough there that it just really works, and it's really fun. And once you get to a habit of learning your skills and jumping over people and kicking and sort of using your skills to your advantage, it can flow really well. It makes you feel really good. And then you get humbled by a bigger enemy later down the road, but then you learn from those. Okay, I know how that enemy works. I'll learn it for next time. And I did feel, even though I died a few times, I did feel like I got better each time. This is what these games are about. The difficulty will be set. There's no difficulty settings here that I can see, but it does feel like it's fair in a way that once you learn how something goes, you can get better each time. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, check out my other reviews if you haven't. A lot there. I've got Prince of Persia Lost Crown there. I've got a few others going on as well, and more coming up in the future. I mainly do stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Warwick. So you can find me there, or some socials around there. But thank you so much for watching. Please take care, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.